Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm super excited to be showing you how to make techno like Paula Temple. As usual, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Let's get started. So, this is what we heard in the intro. We are at 131 BPM. First sound we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So what is going on here is probably looks a lot more complicated than it is. Basically, we have this instrument rack, and so I'll turn off all of the effects and just show you sort of what's going on with that. Basically, we've got two layers together. We have the kick, and then we have like this little noise. So that's with no effects on it. So we have, like I said, a kick, which is just like this punchy, sort of like 909 style kick. You can see I've got it shortened a little bit because there's so much rumble that, you know, having a shorter kick kind of works well for that. And then I also have a pitch envelope on here. So it's a good way to add a bit of punch to your kick. I'll show you. Here's without this. And then with it, you can hear it has a bit more attack. So it really helps to just make the kick punch through. And you don't notice it so much now. But when I start turning on the other effects, I'll go back, or I can go back and turn this off and turn it on again and show you what I mean. But yeah, and then, so that's the first layer, and then we have this little noise here, which is super quiet. I'll show you. Here's the original sample. It's literally just that, like this little sound you can hear. It's kind of like bouncing off the kick. I don't have it sidechained, but it has a little bit of like attack to it. So it's like fading in there. And then I just have that high pass. So I have those in an instrument rack together, you know. Kind of adds a bit more texture to it because I don't have like any noise or anything like that playing in the background in this track. And if you listen, like without this kick, with the kind of like warehousey rumble and this noise, honestly this track sounds kind of like, I don't want to say like sterile, but it definitely doesn't have as like deep of a feeling as it does when you have this full kick in here. So this noise adds a lot is basically what I'm saying. So after that, I have a saturator. Here's dry, just the dry kick. And then with the saturator, so you can hear this is just kind of giving it a bit more punch. It also helps to kind of tie the noise and the kick together, but it's really helping to just add a bit more punch. I like to do this going into the rumble. After that, I have the rumble, which is an audio effect track. Here's without it, and then I'll turn it on. So you can hear pretty standard sort of techno rumble setup here. We've got a dry chain with nothing on it, and then we have a wet chain, which has the rumble. You can see I've got a reverb going into a distortion. I'll show you. So here is the reverb. And then the distortion, you can hear, makes it a lot more like rumbly and kind of brings out that low end aspect of it. And then I have a low pass filter, which just focuses in on the rumble. And then after that, we have a compressor, which sidechains into the dry kick. You can see I have this sidechain to the kick, and it's pre-effects here. So that's making that kind of like bounce up a little bit. And then I also have an EQ8 here. And this is really just kind of focusing it to be more like what I wanted this for, which is just like some nice, really deep low-end rumble. And if you listen, on its own, without this EQ, it's really like more in the low mid-range and kind of like 100 hertz, like that kind of range. And so yeah, I just wanted to clean out some of that stuff and then boost the low end. Again, here's without it. And then with it. So yeah, and then like I said, that's just the audio effect right there. After that, I have this limiter. Here is without it, and then I'll turn that on. So you can hear it. This may not be something some of you guys are so excited about, but this is a really good way to sort of tie together the rumble with the kick, because what's happening here is the limiter does basically what it does. It kind of like squashes these things together when you use it this way, at least. When you just kind of turn up the gain like that, that's what it does. Is it squashes things together because it's multiple things kind of like being turned up there and then being limited. And so this is a really good way to tie your kick to your rumble. I know a lot of professional producers do this. Although this may seem like one of those things that's kind of like cheating, this is like You would be surprised. A lot of people are doing this. But like I said, yeah. Just kind of pulls those up and makes them feel like one kick as opposed to sounding like a rumble underneath the kick. After that, I have a drum bus. Here's what that sounds like. So you can hear, this is adding a lot to the kick. It's really taking it and bringing it forward. And taking it from like, this is okay, kind of hits, to this, which is like really, really hitting. So, yeah, you can see I got the drive up on that. I've got the crunch up a bit as well. I've got that on the hard distortion setting. And then I also have the transients turned up. So that helps with the punch of the kick. Here's without that. And then with it, you can hear that just helps to kind of seal the deal there. And then the last thing we have on here is an EQ8, which sounds like this. So you can hear, this is just focusing the kick and making it more kind of, we're just getting rid of like some mud and kind of giving it a bit more punch as well with this boost here, and then bringing up the low end to just really make it have that powerful low end. And that is how you make a kick. After that, we have this click, which sounds like this. So this is really simple. It's just some white noise going into a bandpass filter. Very simple stuff. You can see the key with this one is it's just got a really, really short envelope, which is what's making it just more like a click as opposed to like that, which I guess is kind of more like a hi-hat. But yeah, really simple sound. Then I just have going through a drum bus and then a bit of EQ8 to cut out the lawn. This is just kind of like adding a bit more of that like dark kind of warehousey percussion, you know? It makes it so the percussion isn't just happening in the bright high end. There's also like this kind of like constantly going underneath it. Next thing that we have here is the percussion, which sounds like this. So basically it's two different layers here, and the reason why I show them two together is because if you listen, there's a lot of intensity going on here with the relationship between these two. I mean, even just like that on its own, but like you can hear that is adding a lot to the groove and really making it like interesting and not having it just be kind of flat. You can hear if I turn these off. This works for an intro, but it's not quite as interesting as this. So yeah, these two are just kind of playing off of each other. You can see, like, if I zoom in on the MIDI, you can see I don't have them playing. You can see they're mostly playing at separate times. Like, it's always like this. Like, that one hits and then this one comes. And then, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, so on the first one here, this is what it sounds like on its own. We got that going through a bit of chorus. You can hear it kind of makes it sound a bit bigger because it's widening it a little bit. Then we have that going through a bit of echo, just doing eighth notes. And then I have some drum bus to found it up a bit. You can see I've got that up quite a bit. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear it really helps for making this sound like a really like hard hitting percussion. It's kind of like I was saying before, for like the more warehousey sort of like industrial dark stuff. You really want like sounds like this. And then the last thing we have on there is just an EQ8 cutting out the line and tying it all together. And then on the second percussion, it's actually even simpler. You can hear this is just like a little sort of like bongo type of sound, I guess. But I've just got that going through a bit of drum bus. So nothing really too crazy there. Just kind of like ties it together. But again, those are very important for this track. I mean, this definitely works, but again, it feels like the intro or the outro compared to this. So the next thing that we have here is this first hi-hat, which sounds like this. So what this is it's an operator hi-hat. You can hear it just playing on the upbeats. And what we've got here is we've got a pretty standard sound that I make a lot on this channel, which is I've just got some white noise going into a bandpass filter here. And then what's happening here, what makes this one kind of interesting, is you can see I actually have not one, but two bit crashes here. So we've got the two reduxes, I'll show you. So here's without them. And then the first one kind of dials it down a little to make it more mid-rangey, and then the second one. It's what really makes it sound like percussion. Like, these are good. I say this a lot, but like any kind of saturation or anything like that, if you're making percussion with a synth, it's a really good way to get it from sounding, like a lot of times it can sound kind of just very dry and like a synth, but if you do stuff like this, like, you know, bit crushing or saturation or whatever, it really takes it from sounding like a synth and makes it sound more like a percussion, and you can hear. That is definitely the case with this. So yeah, after those, I have a reverb. You can hear. Just giving it a bit more space, you know, making it not just so, like, immediate and dry. After that, we just have a bit of drum bus to beef it up a bit. And then an EQ8 cutting out the low end, and that is it for the first hi-hat. The next thing we have here is the second hi-hat, which sounds like this. So this one is a bit different. You can hear this one's just playing 16th notes. What we've got is we've got some white noise. I've got it with, this is honestly kind of more like a shaker. As you can hear, I've got a bit of attack on there. And then I have it going into a bandpass filter. So you can hear the bandpass is what makes it sound more like a hi-hat. And then I have this auto pan on here. And this is what's making it go like, you know, back and forth like that. So it's a good way to kind of add some more stereo width to your track. You want to be careful with this kind of stuff because techno is meant to be played in the club. And obviously, most club systems are in mono. But it can be very effective. And it can still work in mono as well. But like, you can hear this really makes this stand out, and it puts it in a different place, so it's not getting in the way of everything else. Your brain is just kind of hearing it as like, yeah, a completely different thing, and it puts a lot more space in the mix. As opposed to when it's just down the center, as you can hear. So yeah, the next thing that we have here is this little choir sound, which sounds like this. So this is where we really get to like the industrial kind of stuff. I was trying to make something that's kind of like uneasy and like dark sounding like that. And basically what we have here is we just have a choir sample. Here it is. Pretty simple stuff, just like a human voice type singing thing. I've got it in here, and then you can see it's playing this chord. It's playing an F, sort of like an F and a C, which is just F, and then the fifth of F, C, and then C sharp, just one note up from the fifth. And what's happening here is you're getting this kind of like uneasy feeling because it feels like it's not really resolving. Because if you listen, like these two notes, like that kind of thing. I know, great singing voice. But like that kind of thing, it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's never quite resolving because you're just hearing them both at the same time as opposed to getting that really satisfying C sharp to the C. So yeah, and then I've got that going into a bit of chorus here, just to kind of give it a bit more space, I suppose, make it a bit wider. We've also got some reverb, speaking of that. This also makes it more of a pad kind of sound. Obviously, because reverb, pads. I've also got quite a bit of attack on that in the synth, as you can see, or inside the synth, I should say. After that, I just have a bit of drum bus to kind of fatten it up. This also helps with making it sound more like textured, because you don't want it to just be like a super dry sounding reverb pad, you know, you want it to have kind of a darker, more gritty feeling. So that's what that is. And then we just have an EQ8 cutting out the lawn, and that is it for the choir. Next thing that we have here is this little smooth noise thing, which sounds like this. This is a very subtle little background layer. You can see we just have it playing like these little you can hear this in the beat. Like, it's not really something you'll notice so much, but if you're listening for it, you can hear, like, it's really adding a lot of movement over the track, because it's not just the core elements. It's kind of adding something like that, you know, you hear it, it's like giving it some movement. So what this is it's just some white noise in operator, just going through a bandpass, and then I have an LFO on there, kind of like slowly moving it to kind of keep it exciting. And then I also have an auto pan on there, slowly panning it. Yeah, this is something that works to have it moving around, because even if it gets cut out when it goes in mono or it makes it sound weird, it's not one of the main elements. So the track still works in mono, even if this thing won't translate as well. But I think it would still sound fine. But yeah, and then we also have a reverb on there. And then just a bit of drum bus. It's really simple, but like I said, this is a really nice way to spruce up your tracks. If you're looking for a way to add some kind of like more energy to your tracks, I definitely recommend trying this. The next and final layer that we have here is the cymbals, which sound like this. Basically, I just have these two different cymbal samples. And then you can see I've just kind of chopped them here. And these are basically just playing off of that like white noise thing. But it's just giving you like that constant at the end and then start of every new bar. And kind of like carries it through. Even if I turn this off, it's not as cool. And like exciting to listen to. So then for effects on this one, it's pretty similar to the other one. Basically, I've just got a bit of reverb, you can see, and then I've also got an auto pan on there, moving this one around, and then we have an EQ8, just high passing this one into oblivion, basically. You know, with this kind of sound, you don't want it to take up too much space in the track, you just want it to kind of sit over top of everything, so cutting out this much lower and on that works pretty well. And yeah, that is it for this one, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Once again, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets from this video in the description, and if you're patron on my Patreon, once again, you can also check there, because it is already available. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.